So we continue with lesson 2, and the topic for today is the causes for the scramble of Africa. But before we go on to today's topic, I would like for us to revise lesson 1's questions so you can grade yourself and see how well you understood the topic. So question 1 was, what countries were actively involved in the scramble for Africa? So the answers there were France, Germany, Britain, Belgium, and Portugal. Question 2, the conference held in Germany came to be known as, I said in certain books it's called the Berlin Conference, in other books it's called the Berlin Colonial Conference. So both of those answers are correct. The last question was, what 2 terms of the treaty were signed at the conference mentioned in 2, which is the Berlin Conference? So the answers were any of those that we had discussed, but I put the Niger and Zaire rivers would be open to free trade. Slavery was to be abolished in the occupied areas. So coming to today's lesson, the causes for the scramble of Africa. So there were many reasons that made European powers to get African areas. So these include the following. Number 1, imperialism, which simply means conquest and controlling of African lands for investments and exploitation of raw materials. The second point is the Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution, which began in England in the second half of the 18th century, had by the second half of the 19th century spread to countries such as France, Belgium, and Germany. During this period, the industrial companies of Europe saw Africa, 1, as a source of raw materials, 2, as a big market for their manufactured goods. So for this reason, they rushed for the best areas where they obtained such material for their expanding industries. We come to the third point, which was political motives. So some European nations acquired colonies for the sake of prestige, or as a sign of power and status. So each nation fought for the position of the imperial power. So the desire for this political power resulted in the competition for more territories outside Europe. So the Portuguese, the French, the British, and the Dutch were all involved in competing to expand their powers by rushing to Africa to open up new areas and protect their old colonies. The fourth point was for the sake of their military. So some major European nations such as Britain, France, and Germany acquired lands in Africa for military purposes. They wanted to establish military bases to protect their overseas positions. We come to the fifth point, which was the desire by individuals to become rich. For example, John Cicero's. So due to his riches that he got from diamond and gold mines, he wanted to see a British empire running from the Cape to Cairo. So due to this ambition, Rhodes influenced Britain to colonize Central Africa. Another good example was the King of Belgium, King Leopold II, who owned the Congo Free State and treated it as his personal farm. So actually, it was this king's behavior that prompted the question of the scramble for Africa. The other point was missionary work. So missionaries and explorers, we know, opened up the interior of Central Africa. But these missionaries, like David Livingstone, wrote reports about Africa. So in their reports, they wrote about how rich Africa was, and this encouraged the scramble for Africa. Number 7, the role of Bismarck. So we already said that the Berlin Conference was run under the initiative of Bismarck. So Bismarck was the German leader in the period of 1871 to 1898. So he made continuous efforts to divert the attention of European nations and the continent at large to elsewhere. So he did this in order to conquer and dominate Europe. This is the reason why he convened the Berlin Conference and encouraged King Leopold of Germany and encouraged King Leopold of Belgium to own Congo. So we've said the reasons for the scramble were 1, imperialism, 2, the Industrial Revolution, 3, political motives, 4, for the sake of military, 5, desire by individuals to become rich, and lastly, the role of Bismarck. Okay, so these are simply the causes of the scramble for Africa. So in our next lesson, we're going to do a test on this topic, and then in the lesson that follows after, we're going to discuss the answers and see how well we have performed. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to be with you next time. Enjoy your day.